Morricone.
It's racist if you don't say that.
Sin Nation TV.
Oh yeah!
Hi, I'm Josh Mack from the band Sin Nation, and welcome to our brand new series of videos where we will take you through the creative writing process behind Sin Nation. So, I know we've been absent from YouTube and Instagram for a long time due to this lockdown. We had plans to do live shows, which obviously went right out the fucking window. There's none of that happening. So we've decided to, pretty much get back in the studio, finish our album, and we wanted to bring you along with us to experience the journey of how do we write, from the ground up. And I'm gonna start going through some of our new material and show you not just recording, and that's interesting as well because we record in several different studios. We have 2 different studios in Melbourne, and we do guitars and arrangements in about 2 different studios in Singapore. But today we're just going to focus on writing, and it's going to be an instrumental piece that is going to open up the album and also feature in our live shows. And from time to time, we'll have Aaron behind the camera asking questions.
Yo.
He's going to represent the everyman.
Yeah, I'm average body type, so I'm the everyman.
Yeah, and we'll try to keep it professional, but every now and then, we might go into funny voices and shit.
It's the way we do it.
So, this doesn't have a title yet. It's just called the Sin Nation theme. I've just started to learn how to do some orchestration, and I just got to shout out to Spitfire Audio. They make some fucking amazing shit, and they really support the online community of musicians by providing a lot of things through their lab software, which is free. I absolutely love that. And let's see. So
from the everyman, have you turned on your screen recording yet?
no, I haven't.
Fucking you!
All right, let's start screen recording. I just found out how to do this yesterday. Is it recording? Fine. Got our Spitfire Audio app. Just installed a few new sounds.
Did you just start recording again?
Don't make me look bad, man.
Fuck this guy's a
You can't say that anymore.
I'll bleep it out.
Alright, now it's recording. So this is the Spitfire app. I've got the BBC Discover Orchestra, just the basic version. I will be purchasing some other things from them shortly in the next episode. And I've got Labs, where I've downloaded quite a few of their packages. So we'll close that. So here's our project for the Sin Nation theme. What I've done is I've began with a grand piano. We're just using this Korg as our MIDI controller. Really good sound. Actually, this is one of the standard plugins with GarageBand. And what we've done just to make it sound a bit better is some compression. We've got the delay, not too much, just not even halfway, just a little bit, and reverb pumped, way up to about 1, 2 o'clock. So it gives it that feel. And the great thing about Labs and any of the Spitfire stuff that I really love is that it's so simple to use, as you can see on the screen here. You've got your dynamics controller and expression, and on this wheel here you can set your reverb, which I try to match most of them up, but we do change it a little bit here and there. So the first thing that we've got going on is from the Tundra Atmos pack, and it's called Ghost at the Harbor. Sounds like this.
That's creepy.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's just an atmospheric, ambient sort of thing. And the way we've begun our recording is we started with the Steinway grand piano. I'll solo that out for you. So we're actually using one of our tracks, which is called Everybody Anybody, and we're taking the chord progression from it, which is a E minor, G, A, and a D. So just using that chord progression, we're just kind of accenting it a little bit and using a certain section of the song where Simon wrote this melody, we get this. Any questions, Sam?
Well, that's pretty powerful stuff. Not quite yet. Let's keep it going.
All right, so to that, we're going to start introducing the strings. We're using the Swells Ensemble from Labs under the Strings 2 package. This is what it sounds like. I love, how it's really intuitive, that the way that it fades out and comes back in is really natural. As you hold the notes down, it kind of builds the intensity a bit, but it fades well enough that I don't even have to use the sustain pedal on the floor. I should also at this point tell you that I am not a piano player.
We know.
I predominantly play guitar, so this is all very new for me to try to relearn not just the piano, but every instrument in the orchestra. I think one of the big problems people face with using MIDI strings is the lack of understanding of how each element in the orchestra works. You gotta... Even pianists, you come approaching strings like a piano player and just going. And that's kind of boring if you're just playing chords, right? So you have running lines, but you also have to be wary of the limitations of a violin or cello player. They aren't going to be able to get higher notes on your keyboard.
Because you don't have to take a breath every time you strum, right?
No, that's horns, which I was getting to.
Okay, sorry, jumping the gun.
You don't have to take a breath to play the violin.
No, it's very tense,
But yeah, horn players too. Like, you can't just, on the piano, just whittle away and, never stop for a breath, right?
You can't shred on the violin.
Yeah. But, not being able to play the piano, not being able to read music, I have no idea. In fact, it's funny when I double click on this and we go into the score and I see stuff like that come up and I have no idea what it means. But the great thing, with the DAWs these days is we could just export that and give it to an actual pianist and he'd play it right. The beauty is everything's being recorded in MIDI. So it gives us a lot of flexibility on what we can do.
Before we dive in further into this composition, I'd like to ask us sort of a more grander philosophical question, but what made you want to try and create this orchestral opening piece?
Okay, first of all, the first time I ever heard an orchestral piece being used to open up for a band was Metallica's S&M concert, where they used... What's that song? The Ecstasy of Gold by Ennio Morricone. You gotta say it like that,
Sorry,
Morricone.
Yeah.
Morricone.
It's racist if you don't say that.
Yeah, and that was great, It opens up with that. Boom, boom. Fuck off. Then, so on and so forth, right? And that was amazing, the way it built up the atmosphere. And then I watched Metallica walk through the crowd one by one. And then they went into their song. And that really inspired me all those years ago when I saw that. And I always thought like, fuck, I want to do that for us. But first of all, I didn't want to just take somebody else's song. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with Metallica doing that.
Called out.
But that's not what I wanted to do. And furthermore, I don't have the money to pay Ennio Morricone for the rights to use his music. So I thought, you know what? I'm just going to write my own theme. And of course, I went like, how the fuck am I going to do that? And for a long time, I didn't have the things I needed until I came across Spitfire, which I can't say enough how much I respect and love what they do. And as soon as I get more money, I'm going to be buying pretty much everything they have on offer. Because they have some amazing, amazing sounds. And, you know, the support that they give the creative community is just amazing. It's not just about making money for them, it's about putting the tools into the hands of everyday people to be able to compose. And as a result, you know, when the time comes where we have the budget and the ability to, we will hire orchestras to play along with us rather than just using these. This software is just there to write. And when you have the ability to do it, you should hire them, because the day that we don't have orchestras anymore, I think I'm paraphrasing Hans Zimmer when he said that's not just a loss of the orchestra, it's a loss of culture.
Fuck, that's beautiful.
So alright, that's your philosophical shit.
Thank you, that was great. As a side note, we are not sponsored by Spitfire, but we would absolutely love to be.
Oh guys, like, if you send me a t-shirt, I'll wear it every day, like.
You get a Spitfire tattoo, bro.
Whoa, settle down. Great lessons. I also want to say, like, you know, from Spitfire, Christian Henderson and Home Schmitz, I hope I'm saying her name correctly. They do some amazing lessons. You should definitely check them out on YouTube and Instagram. So where were we?
Let's dive into the song.
Right.
Who said that?
So we move on now after we've had this opening piano bit with the swells, which you hear over here. Now, one thing I have to mention at this point as well, that it's very strange working with strings. It's very new. We're so used to, when it comes to recording, that you're trained to record to the click, where if I put the click on and just give you the piano track, you'll hear what I mean. You know, everything has to be perfect, and with MIDI you can go in and edit and quantize it. But the problem with strings, right, is if you play exactly to the click and try to quantize and, you know, pull notes to exactly where they should go, it sounds really wrong for some reason. I can't explain why. Strings almost, to make them more realistic, you have to run in and out of timing to make it right. I can't explain it, but that's just how it sounds. Now, everything here is obviously not edited perfectly just yet, because I find, you know, when I'm writing, trying to worry too much about playing in time kind of takes away from the creative process. So I just lay down the ideas first, and if need to, we can go back and touch things up, or if it's minor tweaks, we can edit them in the MIDI. So the next section, we bring in the BBC celli, which I now know is plural for the cello.
Jelly.
Celli. There are 10 cello players here. Really beautiful sound. We're using the long notes. You have several options. You have spiccato, pizzicato, and tremolo.
Good job.
I think that's how you say it. And of course, with any sort of string and horn instruments, I always make use of the Dynamics controller, the mod wheel, and that helps make it sound a little bit more realistic. That you have a listen to what that sounds like. So that's our cello. And from this point on, we now move into the next part of the song. So our piano themes changes a little bit. Now, certain things I choose to, move closer to the grid, which will be my piano. I always keep that pretty much on the dot with the timings, and now I start bringing in the full string section of the orchestra. So we've got the first violins, which here in the BBC orchestra you get 16 violin players. They are on the grid as well. They are using the spiccato. This is what spiccato sounds like. Just nice little short notes. And I keep that pretty much on the grid too. My violins, second violins, which another 14 players as well, they are playing with long notes. And pretty much it's the backing to what the spiccato of the first violins were. Anybody bored yet?
Well, I think I'm following along.
And now we move on to the violas. They're kind of somewhere in between the violins and the cellos in terms of the
celli.
Celli. There's no such thing as cellos apparently. They're in between on the sound frequency. So I've got them also doing spiccato. But instead of following exactly what the first violins are doing, they're just creating this like pulsating rhythm. Yep, so any of these kind of like repeating ideas will always be really strictly to the grid to kind of reinforce the rhythm of the song.
I have a question here.
Yep.
Approaching these strings so to speak, as a first time, handling all these different sections, how do you find the experience having all these options, various strings, various styles?
On one hand, it's really overwhelming. I'm used to writing for the band where you've got, two guitars, a bass player and a drummer, and your vocal lines and lyrics, stuff like that we will talk about in another episode. This episode is just to do with orchestration and composing. It's like a band, but times like 100. You've got so many more things to consider. We're just talking about strings right now. We haven't even gotten into horns and woodwinds, and percussion. But if you break it down, it's not that different. You can think of your basses and celli as your bass player. But now you have two different frequencies. How can you use them to complement each other? The main thing to keep in mind, and BBC Orchestra really helps with this as well, because if you have a look at the screen here, when you choose the celli, it kind of limits which part of the keyboard you can play, right? But the other thing to consider as well is that even though you can play all the way up here, it is not common for the celli to be playing that high. And you end up with certain sounds which people may not usually recognize as a celli, which then leads to less than realistic sounding strings. Like one thing I learned is that even though with the French horn you can go pretty high up based on what they allow you to do, but you got to realize that most orchestras will not play beyond the middle C for the French horn. And they may not be able to unless they're incredibly skilled. So you also got to keep that in mind when composing. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, that did.
Well, yeah. And so, yeah, basically just think of them as, I think of my violas as my rhythm guitar. My first and second violins could be, like overdubs of the lead guitar harmony line. It's really, they can serve whichever purpose. They can play a counter melody, a harmony line. They could be there to reinforce the rhythm. It really depends on the song and that section of the song, what you want to achieve. So getting back to this, we just did the violas. Now we're listening to the cello coming in. They're doing something similar to violas, but I've kind of had two sections of them. One section of the cello is doing those spiccato notes, but there's also one like longer note. Together with the violas. And then we get to the bass.
Slapper the bass.
No slapper the bass.
You don't slap at this bass.
You can't slap at this bass. Is just playing long notes once again with the dynamic articulation to create that slightly more realistic as you come to the end of the bow, the volume's dropping off and coming back up. And then we have the tubular bells.
That's my favorite.
Which are glorious. They're basically just accenting the piano melody.
Christmas came early, so.
So this is what we've got so far. I've been trying to make it a point where every day or two I'll write at least, 2 bars, sometimes more. And any questions?
No, I'm pretty ready to hear this section that you've composed. How long has it taken you to do this, all of this?
Well, I kind of just play with it every other day. And some days I spend, like yesterday, I spent like 10 minutes just coming in to add additional bass notes to the piano because I felt we were missing that one. I kind of had that. And it was missing that. So now I added a. Hear that? That's a mistake.
The fuck up? Yeah, no, we heard it.
That's the problem with these videos, you gotta do them like, there's nothing wrong with making mistakes!
We show everything.
We show everything. I'm not a piano player. I can't help it every now and then. There you go. But, when you do that, you just go, it's jazz, bro.
Yeah.
It's jazz.
It's unconventional.
Yeah. Right? If that note didn't work for you and you didn't like the sound of it, maybe you're not educated enough.
It's not for you.
Yeah, it's not for you. Try to cancel me, motherfucker. So that's what I've got so far of the Cinnation theme, and I'll now let you hear it.
bellissima.
That's what we got so far. I'm gonna do a few more things. I'll talk a little bit about what I'll do next. I do want to add kind of like an arpeggiated synth bass to run under this, because just because it's orchestral doesn't mean you can't use synths and electronic stuff. I think that's really cool when you can combine the two.
Hans Zimmer!
Yeah, Hans Zimmer. I mean, it's one of my heroes.
Tron!
Yeah, maybe we'll even double that with some more violins. And the next section, I'm just waiting to purchase the cinematic epic drum package from Spitfire Audio. It'll give us something called Earthquake drums and Taiko drums. It'll really start bringing up the song. And we're going to bring in horns.
Woo!
Yeah, love horns. In fact, I mean, I'll let you have a little listen to the horns that are available.
We'll start wrapping this up soon, we don't want to give away too much now.
Yeah, we're definitely going to start putting in some. Some of the things you can expect in the next episode. Now, if you guys want to keep up to date with all of the things we're doing, it won't be just me babbling on all the time. It's going to be mostly me, I'll be honest with you. So, if you don't like that, this is not the channel for you. But we're also going to start, showing you we're working on drum recordings coming up with Matthias Adam. He's an amazing drummer. Simon Lai is going to start doing some guitar stuff. Maybe walk you through his setup. So this studio that I've set up here is very much for songwriting and orchestration. Simon's studio is, geared to obviously do some songwriting and arrangements, but largely he's got a lot more guitar-based stuff, which will be interesting to some other people as well. And when we can get him off his ass, you will see Mr. Andrew Teo do some bass for you.
Slap at the bass.
Yeah, slap at the bass. He's a hard one to get in the studio. As always, please like, subscribe, dislike, complain, or even fucking report us. And turn that bell on so that you know when you can complain.
But please don't report us.
Well, we try to use everything original music, so I don't see why you would. And if you want to support us doing what we do, because obviously we have no income whatsoever now, being musicians.
Zero.
If you thought musicians were poor before, now you've just taken away gigs, so we make fuck all. You can either purchase our music, which I can tell you also does fuck all for us. But there are going to be links in the description to check out our music on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, all of that. But if you really want to support us, I'm wearing the Cination muscle tees. You can buy them by just messaging us on Instagram, YouTube, and we can send them out to you.
Do a spin, show us the back.
All right, so that's the front. The back, it comes in white, black, pink, and baby blue. Beautiful colors. They're all really nice. I'll wear a different one every episode. We also have some stuff up on Teespring, which are designs of our album covers. So if you want to support us, you can do that by purchasing our clothing. That will really help us out a lot. And everyone who has bought it, we thank you. And any closing questions now, son?
No, I'm pretty happy with that, sir. Play yourself out, sir.